Renegade Radio. Tune in, don't be shy. With Frankie Slauson leading the ride. Monday nights, the airwaves come alive. With voices in the dark, like shadows they survive. Join the rendezvous, let the stories weave. Frankie leads the night, you just gotta believe.
Winter in the Northland means no golf, right? Wrong. Looking to get in a round of golf in a climate-controlled winter oasis? Want to just whack some balls at the virtual driving range and work on your swing? Check out Albatross Indoor Golf Club in Grand Forks with more than 90 courses, range venues, and games including Pebble Beach, St. Andrews, TPC Sawgrass, and more. All on an incredibly accurate optical-based simulators from driving to putting. Play straight up. Team up for a scramble, play tournaments, or join the two-person Scramble League. It's fun for everyone, and all ages are welcome, too. Call or text 701-757-3220 to set up a tee time. Check out Albatross Indoor Golf Club at the Columbia Mall, your home for the best indoor golf experience around.
Deception runs deep, so deep, with secrets he must keep in the heart of the outlaw's creed. Trust is a currency rare indeed. In the midnight hours, solitude grows. Only shadows and whispers know. And desert's haze, danger's always just a phase, but his spirit never breaks. In the land of wolves and snakes, every mile a hidden tale of loyalty and betrayals. On a motorbike, he's bound to ride past the lights where shadows hide. In the rush of wind, he finds his grace, leaving no trace in this perilous race. Dan Saxon's on the loose, riding down those twisted roads. Ain't Dax his friend, myself today. In there were music trees, then light and darks to be. For peace did rep our rest away. Riding down those twisted roads in a world that's so unkind. Deep undercover, no one knows. In the smoke and steel of bikers, he's fighting for what's real. The night so wild and free, he's a ghost, a mystery. With the wind as his guide, he'll never be denied. Facing fears with a steely eye, in the land where outlaws lie.
Come weekend, kids, and they're hunting for the thrill. They're seeking treasure, adrenaline to spill. You don't know what you got until you find the map. You don't know what you got until you set the trap. You don't know what you got. Is it just a trap? Oh baby, 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 let's escape this cap. I'm a goonie! You're a goonie! We are all fucking goonies! Yeah, right on the road, smashing the spray, moving bad, for the reason girl didn't see. Leaving waiting the story and grind. The dress is gold and it's gold. You don't know what you got. You don't know what you got. The clear and test. You don't know what you got. It's the ultimate test. Not just a game, to the pirate ship where our anthem sung. You never say die when you're young and the brave. One-eyed skull, the dark caves we crave. You never say die with hope in our chest. In the shadows embrace. Embrace. Echoes ring of secret places, a trail to sail, the treasure chasers. Gather round me, hearts unite, through the moonlit danger sight. Ah, yeah, you are, a story is called a Goonies Ride. Forge flying, ain't no lying in this tale. Clock tower chime, gotta set sail. Well, twist the keys and hear that engine scream. Shades on tight, we're living out this dream. It's a Midwest riff, time's a heavy load, but this guitar's fueling every road. Strap in tight, we're on this wild ride. Flames on track, no need to hide. From the dash, the digits gleam. Gotta hit the speed for that temporal beat. Steel and wires hold the future dock scene. Spark and rubber and plutonium dreams. The clock's ticking fast, but we're faster still. Warping through decades on pure thrill. Oh yeah! Out on the highway, as he roams, yeah, legendary man, happy as he can. Got lucky, oh, breaking up the show. Run! He's got a purpose, no fear in his stride. Chaos in his wake, taking it in style. Tearing through the city, making headlines. Jeopardy disrupted, a legend on the rise. With a roar in his heart, hey, hey, he's the man of the hour, watch him play. Out on the streets, he's making waves. Legendary man, oh yeah, yeah. No chains can bind his soul. Got lucky, breaking through control. Run!
Renegade Radio, tune in, don't be shy. With Frankie Slauson leading the ride. Monday nights, the airwaves come alive. With voices in the dark, like shadows they survive.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
Join the rendezvous, let the stories weave. Frankie leads the night, you just
hear
gotta
you.
believe.
Hello, is someone there? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hi, how you doing? Sorry,
Hey, what's going on, Brian?
not too
I,
much.
I was playing a special intro before we did our interview while I was waiting for you.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. Let me plug in my headphones here and so I can hear you better.
Very good.
One sec there. Here. I'm gonna say something.
Test, 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 and test, test, test.
All right, perfect. I got you. Well, hey, I appreciate Jacob for allowing me to do an interview with you because
No problem.
when he asked me to do this, I was kind of surprised, like that, because he's been kind of helping me do interviews with some big
Hmm.
people, and your name just came up, and I said, well, let's do it, you know. So
Great.
we're happy to have you on. My name is Frankie Slauson. I'm
I
the
see that.
yes, and as it says at the bottom, I am the CEO of Renegade Radio. We're based out of northern Minnesota, and we're just a bunch of people that do well. The show normally airs Monday nights at night. We do a special show where it's like different from this, even though we do have interviews with celebrities and stuff here and there, and musicians and whatever. But I also do exclusive interviews as well, because everybody that's on my crew is only available for a certain period of time, and most of the time during the day everybody's working. So it's like,
Well, luckily, I don't do that anymore much.
well, that's all right though. No, we're honored to have you on, and I think this will be very exciting because my audience, when
Good.
I announced that
All
we were
right.
going to do this,
Uh,
uh,
have you seen my new Happy Days book?
I've seen it around. I have
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I've seen it around. Yes, yes, I have.
All right. No, you have. You don't own it.
I do not own it, but I have seen it. I have seen it at the bookstores and whatnot. I just don't have a
Oh, it's
copy of
more than I see here. All right.
it. I also saw your book, your toy book as well that you
Yeah.
wrote,
No, very
and,
proud
and
of
all
that.
that. Oh,
And,
absolutely, absolutely. Because it looks like, from what I've seen and what I've done some research on you, for not just knowing about your films, but seeing that you're a big toy collector, and
oh,
that's awesome. That's really an awesome thing to like, because physical having something physical in your hands is such a good thing, rather than just seeing it digitally all the time. Wouldn't you agree?
I usually don't touch the stuff. It's all on shelves. If you touch anything, something will fall, and then you spend a half hour putting it back. So
Do
best
you
to look.
do you put them up yourself, or do you have somebody that
Oh
you
God,
have that does
no. This is a part of the mania. Is display.
it?
Not a mint in the box guy.
uh
All right. So should we get going or what?
Yeah, yeah. That's why I was just asking you. I was just starting with a question about your toys and everything. But
Oh,
I
we're
can.
on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've been
Oh,
live
I
for a
thought you
while.
were gonna like do an intro.
Well, I can if you prefer. I
Oh,
mean, we
no,
can.
no. I didn't know we were shooting. I'll be much more
Oh.
clever. All right, rolling.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, we'll just start. We'll say cut, and we'll do take two here.
Right.
What's going on, everybody? This is Frankie Slauson, and we are live here on Facebook, here on the Renegade Radio and Frankie Slauson Show page. Today, I am joined by a very special guest, I would say, legendary filmmaker Brian Levant. And if you're familiar with his work, you should be. If you're not familiar, where the heck have you been? This guy is responsible for majority of our childhood of films. Going with freaking Beethoven. I mean, I grew up watching that show or that movie many times before it came out on DVD and all that. It used to be on TV all the time, and I think it still has reruns once in a while on TV. But it's on disc now as well. Freaking the Flintstones. I mean, both of them. The Flintstone movies. The original from '94, and then the sequel, Fever Rock Vegas. Prom Child 2. And we just had Eric Edwards on, who was a part of the original,
Yeah.
the original as well, and so many. And then I think the biggest one I'd say would probably be Jingle All the Way, that you probably get noticed for probably the most, I suppose, huh?
Yeah. Somehow, my biggest failure becomes my my greatest success and what I'm known best for. Uh, that's been an interesting ride, in that it was a box office disappointment, but only benefited from years and years of exposure, first on video cassette, and then things started happening that I never would have expected. TBS is doing a marathon. It's playing Christmas Eve on ABC. And I spent a lot of time on campuses, And I noticed something like 20 years ago, kids were coming up and to ask me to sign their withered VHS copies of Jingle and telling me how it was a yearly event in their homes. And anyways, it very unexpected and pleasant. I always tell the story that I kept one of the 24-inch Turbo Men figures that were so prominent in the parade scene, and yet I didn't want to. I didn't want to look at him every day. So for literally over 20 years, it sat in a very nice box on a shelf in my garage until finally this outpouring of affection, that we receive at screenings from the American Cinematheque and in Tucson at the Fox Theater for the 25th anniversary and things. I took him out of the box. He had a nice plexiglass case made, and he's where I can see him all day now.
No, that's good. That's really, really good, because it's like it's something that you got to be proud of, first of all, because you created something that a lot of people, probably was a box office flop, but you know what? It became legendary. You got the same treatment as like Detroit Rock City. Remember that movie? That Adam Ripken,
Sure. What's his name?
Adam Ripken.
Yeah, the music guy.
Yeah, Kiss. Yeah, there's a Kiss movie, but like that movie also, I heard didn't do well in the theater. But then
I think that was it didn't cost much. So.
Yeah, well, I know that it didn't do well in the theater.
No one was. It wasn't a major studio's holiday release.
That's right. When that came out, that was around the time when DVDs were brand new, and then when it came out on physical copy, then it started to be a cult classic. So that's kind of similar.
Well, it happens to artists become more appreciated after their lifetimes, and sometimes it happens with film as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I've just been a big lover of films, and in my life, being able to do interviews like with people like yourself. I've interviewed a few filmmakers in my life, and actors and actresses and comedians, all that. And it's just amazing, when you talk to people who are in that creative aspect, because it's like, you guys are the people that have helped a lot of people deal with a lot of situations, even when you didn't realize that you're doing that. All you're trying to do is do a job and make something into reality. Take an imaginative idea and make it reality. But you guys have been a part of, especially you. I mean, you've been all childhood. I mean, I grew up in the '90s. I'm an '80s kid, but a lot of my favorite films are from the '90s, and Beethoven was definitely one of those.
Now the entire, I was always worked in the family sphere. I was tremendously influenced by the entertainment I grew up with, beginning with Howdy Doody, which by the time I was born was already in its 5th year. And they invented kids' TV. And It was energetic. It was visual. The performers, for the most part, were exceptional talents, and surprisingly, and the whole idea of going to the circus every day, because it was the Howdy Doody circus. So that was what they did for a living. That kind of fascinated me and put me in a state of mind where I'm not gonna work in an office. I'm not gonna talk on the phone all day. I'm gonna do something where we go to the circus. And I mean, I knew that. I submitted my first jokes to local Chicago TV shows when I was 8 years old. I was writing for Camp Temple, junior high school papers. I started making movies when I was 12. This isn't an accident. This was, this was a plan, and it worked out. It really did. But I'm very fortunate in that in my life, I've spent my entire adult life trying to translate things from my imagination into characters, scenes, stories, now books. And, it's been very fulfilling. And not to say it hasn't been. In June, it will have been out here 50 years.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes trying, but for the most part, always successful. And again, to live a creative life. And I'm very fortunate that, my wife discovered what horrible math skills I have very early on. And so I've been, she handles all the finances and difficult things, and I'm allowed to pursue my childlike fascinations.
Well, that's amazing. It's nice to have somebody who understands what you're all about, as far as like just letting you kind of ride with things, because yeah, I mean, you deserve it. I mean, you deserve it. All the flowers, as they say nowadays, because
Oh, I like that expression.
you are definitely one of those. You are definitely a legendary filmmaker,
Well,
regardless. I mean,
no. Spielberg and Hitchcock are legendary filmmakers. I'm a guy who worked for a long time. Nobody knows you, and you don't have a beach house in Malibu.
no, but you got everything else that you want. I mean, look at
That's
all those
right.
toys behind you. I mean, they all tell a story.
This is just the stuff from my work.
Yeah, but still, though, and I watched some videos of you and talking about your toys and talking about how much they mean to you, and they really do mean something to you, and that there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
No, that's how I got suckered into doing Jingle All the Way. The page one was the opening when I first read the script was of the Turbo Man figure being manufactured and boxed, and I said, "This is great." And then, oh well, we can't do that because it takes 6 months to design and then make the toy. We'll be done shooting. We'll be in theaters by that time.
Oh, jeez. So they didn't like they couldn't tell you, or they could maybe describe to you what it was going to look like, but they couldn't just tell you here or whatever.
Well, that was part of the fun of Jingle was, hey, I get to design a superhero. And what I discovered was how difficult it was, because every color combination was taken. Every, you wanted to make it look unique and not just like the Rocketeer or Commando Cody. And so, I worked with Daryl Henley, my storyboard artist of decades, and Tim Flattery, who's an amazing designer. Designed Batmobile's Thanos's glove, and between the three of us, we used elements of concept cars of the 50s to get when everything looked like rocket ships.
Oh yeah,
and we tried to imbue the uniform with that, and I think we did a really nice job designing the jetpack, the little details, the little tail lights on the back of his boots and things you really don't notice but contribute to the overall. And at the end of it, we looked at it and said, "Oh shit, he looks a lot like Iron Man."
Yeah, kind of. I tell you what. Yeah, you would think kind of between him and maybe. I don't know, probably the Flash a little bit. I kind of get those senses a little bit too. So yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing what because of a movie of what how big a toy can become, or an action figure or whatever. And I remember, like you talk about like the Flintstones and stuff like that. Like when. What was it? Was it Burger King or was it McDonald's or one of those two?
The first one we had a tie-in with McDonald's, and we built Rock Donald's with the golden arches made out of mammoth tusks, huge mammoth tusks. And then the second one was Bronto King. Burger King stepped into the fray, and and both tie-ins were very successful from my point of view, because they took the designs we made, cars, the Rock Donald's itself, and they ran with our designs, and same thing with Burger King, and the toys were really good. The Mattel toys were too small because they had to be within. They couldn't conflict with the rights that Mattel had at the time. But on the Burger King stuff was very clever, and they said, "Oh, would you like the maquettes?" I said, "Sure."
Whatever they wanted to give you, you might as well just said sure. Just like, give me whatever you got. No, so McDonald's was the one that, because I know the Happy Meals back in the day were used to mean something, and they used to be really cool. I mean, they're okay now, but they're not as good as they used to be.
I think it changed. Their marketing, they were selling more coffee than Happy Meals at McDonald's, so the business shifted a lot. Mothers were a little more became, seriously, you're talking about a span of 31 years that habits change, and that people go to McDonald's for cafe, McCafe or whatever it is, and they're not necessarily going there to get their kid tricked into eating fast food by giving them a toy with it.
Well, they definitely tricked us back in the day, because I grew up on that.
Great stuff.
I grew up on all that stuff. I remember when freaking Back to the Future, the animated series, came out, and they had the toys for that. I'm just like, I was a sucker. I loved that. That was McDonald's made it seem like it was a fun place for all ages.
Yeah, well,
and now
notice they don't have the playgrounds anymore either.
No, they don't. Like even ours locally from where I live. Yeah, it's like they all grew up. It's like, what the heck? McDonald's not supposed to grow up.
Well, businesses change. So,
yeah,
and look at the entertainment business today is hardly resembles the one I entered in 1975 with 3 networks, broadcasting 3 hours a night. Primetime programming, and things were different. I did a series that premiered after the Super Bowl, Brothers and Sisters. It was an Animal House ripoff, and we were canceled with a 32 share. Now, last year the #1 comedy was Young Sheldon, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Young Sheldon had an 18 share.
Now, what does that mean now when you say share? Does that mean like how many people
The share of available audience.
Okay.
You always hear about ratings point, but actually shares are a little more important.
Okay.
And so today, starting really with the rise in Nickelodeon, I did family films, and with Happy Days, the shows I did in TV, Happy Days, Mork and Mindy, we were shows that appealed to a broad swath of the audience. That mom watched it, dad watched it, the kids watched it, and grandpa and grandma didn't mind sitting there either. Now, that kind of programming, once it became, let's program for kids, let's program for mom, let's program for dad. And I don't know where the hell grandpa and grandma went, probably to Fox News.
Yeah.
But it changed broadcasting, and it became more narrowcasting. And now, with streaming and they're trying to fill every pocket of the entertainment world and giving you a choice. I read an interesting article about the Netflix Russo brothers movie with Chris Pratt and Bobby Millie Brown that was not very successful at all. And, this is a $200 million plus project that failed to launch, really. And they go, oh, well, because it's only 1.2% of their total entertainment budget for the year. They're not a studio who's banked their holiday season and thus their end of year numbers on having a huge investment perform.
Oh yeah. I just started watching that too on Netflix, and I was just like, maybe the problem was maybe they didn't promote it enough or something. Because back in the day, it seemed like if you promoted something even a year to launch or whatever, that things were more successful.
Sometimes, but
Yeah.
often they didn't do that kind of promotion unless they had testing to show that they had reason to try and invest in its popularity.
Well, good possibility. I mean, it just seems like like with stuff nowadays, it's just like there's so much content out there that gets thrown and at your face, and it's like a lot of these like films, especially like what I see on Netflix, like currently, it's like they got so many different films that I never even heard of that I don't remember even seeing promotions for or anything. And if I would have, I probably would have wanted to watch it when it came out rather than
we have
later.
trouble. We can't remember the name of the shows we're watching. Wait, we saw 4 episodes of that. What was the name of it?
Yeah.
Where was it? Surrey. What streaming service is the news?
Yeah, it's a different world we live in compared to back in the day, I'd say.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
No, there's no more appointment viewing.
Yeah. That definitely be for sure because we live in. I like to call it. We live in an on-demand world nowadays, where everything's on demand. Even if you listen to music, if you watch movies, if you even read a book, it's now on demand because you have audio books and stuff and book on tape and it's like that's come to life as an MP3 or part of your streaming service. So
our Happy Days book, 50 Years of Happy Days, is a big seller on Kindle. Who would have ever thought that was a market for a coffee table book?
Yeah. I was going to talk to you about that because I know you kind of give me a little grief for not having it. I don't read a whole lot of books. I kind of like to do my research to the interwebs and everything. I like having books and stuff, but I've seen the book, I've seen it online and stuff. I just haven't really opened it up to really do a whole lot of research because I didn't really watch a whole lot of Happy Days, growing up. I mean, I know what it is and everything.
I guess we went off the air in '84.
Yeah. Well, I like sitcoms and stuff.
When I was 23 years old, I started writing for Happy Days, and I was there on and off for the next 8 years. Eventually, as a supervising producer of the show, along with my good friend and frequent collaborator Freddie Fox Jr. And so to celebrate Happy Days' first half century, we had the pleasure of writing a book about the show's known and unknown history, a season by season breakdown of it. And the best part of it was spending so much time with our friends, Ron, Henry, Scott, Scott Baio, Don Most, Anson Williams, Ted McGinley, all the people we worked with in the writers' room, legendary writer Lowell Gans and William S. Bickley Jr., the original producer of the show, would go on to do, another 15,000 episodes or something. Family Matters was his show. The Hogan Family was his show. Hanging with Mr. Cooper was his show. The Family Man, Step by Step, all those, and then distilling all that into a coffee table book. We were an authorized book, and we estimated, given that there are 5 or 6 episodes every year, that we had a still photographer who shot like mad, that we would have over 20,000 stills to choose from. Paramount's digital and physical library was less than 300 images, many of poor quality and doubles. So what we found for the book was donated by Henry Winkler and Ron Howard, and especially Jerry Paris, the show's director. If you remember, you TV fans, on the Dick Van Dyke Show, his neighbor, Jerry Helper, was played by Jerry Paris, who also began directing on the Van Dyke Show and won the Emmy in 64 for directing. And directed like 244 of Happy Days' 255 episodes. And so it was a great collective effort by everybody on the show to help bring this to fruition through Insight Editions, who's been terrific in helping us do it. And, they put up with something. So this is my second book, and I got another one coming. But I make kind of a different deal than most authors in that I design them too.
Okay.
And a process I knew nothing about when I started doing this, but now I think I've picked up a lot of it pretty well. And it's really, in my head, it's really like editing a film, and that you have a story and you're illustrating that story somehow.
Yes.
And bring it to life and make it all work together. And try and capture the excitement and the energy that made Happy Days and Mork and Mindy and Laverne and Shirley such enormous successes. This is, people forget, just why Gary Marshall's shows. At one point he had 4 of the top 5 shows in TV were his creations, and that included Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy, and Angie with Donna Pesca from Saturday Night Fever slipped in there as a time slot hit, I think, for a while. And if it weren't for Three's Company, he would have had 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, jeez, that's great. That's crazy to think.
That's right. But now look how TV changed in a short time. So that was in 1978. 9 of the top 10 shows were sitcoms, right? No Monday Night Football, sitcoms.
Yeah.
When Happy Days went off the air in '84, there were 0. There were 0 sitcoms in the top 10, and only 2 in the top 20. And the next year, there was a bit of a rebirth with the beginning of Cosby. But you can see, how the audience and the product is diminished.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you. For somebody who's been in the television business as well, like, it kind of gets me a little ticked off that, when they call everything a season, there's not as many episodes nowadays in our seasons currently, like compared to back in the day. Where,
I think a lot of it, they don't know if it's going to work.
Well, yeah, but that was the problem back then too, wasn't it? Like they didn't know it was going to work.
No, but you got an order for 13. Not 8, not 6. And sometimes, look, All in the Family was almost canceled after its first season. The Dick Van Dyke Show was almost canceled after its first season. Happy Days was almost canceled after its second season. And sometimes it takes time for shows to develop loyal audiences, and they don't have that freedom anymore. But as a result of so many fewer episodes, it's become much harder for anyone in Hollywood, writers, directors, producers, except for your Uber producers who, get mega deals and stuff. But, if my first year on Happy Days, we did 27 episotes.
Yeah,
and then I went and did a show that did 25 episodes before I came back to Happy Days later that year. So, and sure, Leave It to Beaver and Father Knows Best and The Twilight Zone made 39 a year. people weren't paid as much, but you know, in the 80s and even in the 70s, people made very good money. And you know, being a staff writer on a show like Happy Days, where you're guaranteed, you know, not if you did a good job, you'd be back for several more years. One second, I gotta close this door here.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
One
Ladies
second.
and gentlemen, we're here with Brian Levant, filmmaker, legendary filmmaker, director of so many great films that we grew up with and TV shows. We're talking about sitcoms right now. And Hollywood, you know, it's like, but you know, can you imagine, you know, like if back in the day, like Happy Days only did like 10 episodes a season, you know, how different of a show that would have been?
No, you know, it's, let's face it, you know, things have changed, and you're either going to roll with it or you're going to not be a part of it. But you know, there are a lot of options, and hopefully there are more opportunities for people. And we'll see. You know, I mean, it's so different. You know, the other last year, I believe someone said there were 480 scripted shows. So obviously the volume's there. How, you know, is the work there? Is it sustainable to keep people's careers going, to keep people's lives going? You know, and then you have your house burned down.
Yeah.
No, I know 13 people, mostly writers who lost their houses, and in Altadena and in the Palisades. And you know, life's tough enough out here.
And you're one of the lucky ones that didn't have to worry about that, or how close.
No, we're in the middle of 200,000 acres of wild, you know, open land. We are. There's a firehouse just down the street from us. We're in a very dangerous. We're always evacuating.
Oh, jeez. Well, how close was your house to be burnt down then? I mean, did it?
We were supposed to evacuate, but we didn't.
Okay.
And then the big fire 5-6 years ago, it burned up. Didn't get to the house, but it burned all our fences and trees and things.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Because you live in an area, you know, California. I mean, it's freaking. If it's not a fire, it's an earthquake or maybe a hurricane. If well, they haven't had too many hurricanes over there,
well,
but like, you never know. You know,
I would still prefer that to the weather in northern Minnesota. The coldest I have ever been in my life was when we were scouting for Jingle All the Way.
Sure. And Minnesota was the state you chose for that movie, or for the majority of the movie.
You know, it was that way in the script. And when I said, we don't have to go there, let's shoot this in Studio City. And they said, oh, no, the snow, everything. We had to bring in snow from Wisconsin.
Was it filmed like in the summertime then, or was it?
No. This was
during the holidays.
When we scouted, it was February. I think we started shooting in March, maybe.
Okay.
And you know, we expect everyone's. Oh, don't worry. Now, maybe it was February. I don't remember anymore. All I remember is the last few weeks shooting the parade in California on the back lot at Universal. And, you know, people are dressed for Christmas Day in Minneapolis, and we had people fainting from the heat. It was 95 degrees.
Sure. Now, one thing I wanted to ask about was, you know, you got the permission to be one of the fewest films, and maybe the first film, I don't know for sure, but like you got to go and do some stuff in the Mall of America.
Yes.
And how was that process to even get the permission to even film? Because that place is busy all the freaking time, man. It's like,
oh yeah, oh no, it's so big. It's so big that it's so big that several franchises have more than one storefront in the mall.
Absolutely, it is. I was there back in 2021 last time.
No, if you're the Mall of America and somebody says Arnold Schwarzenegger wants to shoot a movie there, what are you going to say? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's good for publicity for. I don't think it's good for people to see what's going.
Well, didn't they have a Planet Hollywood there, and he was like part of?
Oh yeah, no, we had the premiere there and the party at Planet Hollywood.
So that maybe where it made sense. It's like, well, he already owns Planet Hollywood, so he might as well, make it work. Then it's his movie.
Exactly.
Might as well do it.
Exactly. So they loved us, and it was hard. It was hard because of just the amount of space to do the things we needed. It was not a small plan. It was a big plan, and we did it. But just the distance and moving equipment stuff,
Sure.
just to get it from the parking lot to the 5th floor.
Okay, so you had to go. So you had to go up You went way up higher then, way up to the main. Okay.
Oh yeah. Man.
Okay. Because I was kind of wondering, like, if you just stayed right on the floor, or if you just.
Oh fuck no, we're all over the place. We're all over that place.
Wow. And how long did they allow you to film over there then?
I don't remember exactly how many days we were there. I would probably, let me think for a second. I would think probably 5 days would be
okay.
My guess. 5 days out of 84.
Just to shoot that scene of everybody
It's a pretty big scene.
Oh, of course.
It might have been more, but something tells me 2 days here, 1 day there, 1 day. Yeah, 5 days sounds about right.
So just to confirm that none of that stuff was backlot stuff. That was actually all at the Mall of America. Because some people probably you never know with Hollywood. It's the magic of the.
No, we did things there that we probably didn't need to do, but we were there, and if you can see them coming down an escalator and there's an amusement park in the background indoor, shoot it.
Sure.
Take advantage of what's there. If we didn't take advantage of the snow.
No, I have the DVD of it, but I don't have I would think by now you guys could put that on a 4K disc or whatever and have like a whole bunch of features and behind the scenes and everything.
They're not interested in that. There's the 4K collector's market is small. I'm sorry,
Or Blu-ray at least, an anniversary.
It's on Blu-ray.
But like an anniversary, because sometimes when they put stuff
30th
on
anniversary next year.
Yeah, like some people will put re-release it on Blu-ray and do like an updated, this is an anniversary.
No, they could have great stuff. We got the Brian Setzer video. Phil Hartman hosted a special on the show for HBO that could be on a disc. You got all the backstage stuff, the building of the Turbo Man costume. It's all there if anybody wants it, but I don't know if it's not a Disney film, so it may not be a priority.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's still a legendary film.
They're more interested. Maybe they'll remake it.
Well, I know they tried to do they did a part 2. You had your hands in part 2, didn't you?
A direct-to-video Jingle All the Way 2, starring Larry the Cable Guy. I've never seen it. I've read a synopsis of the story, and I said, well, that's a pretty good story about a divorced dad whose wife marries a rich man and who is trying to do something to impress his daughter on Christmas.
Sure.
So I said, okay, that's a story. That works. So I give them kudos for that, and hopefully, I think it has been released on video.
Yeah.
A double header, which is sad, but
well, it's like
let's do the $84 million. What is that in today's dollars? $210 million film against the 4.5 cable Larry the Cable Guy show.
Well, if they're going to do a sequel, why didn't they just ask you to have to have Arnold come back and do a continued series?
It was a failure. You don't do sequels to failures.
No. I'm not talking a sequel to a failure of the second one. I'm talking.
No, I'm talking about ours. It was a failure,
You talking?
remember? Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah,
did
that's right.
it as a hit.
That's right. It was. I keep forgetting that it was a failure as we keep talking because it was a failure. But
Disappointing.
I
Let's
just
not
want,
say failure.
yeah, but I just kind of wonder if those people thinking that, or the reviewers or whatever, the Siskel and Eberts of our time, what were they thinking? Because a lot of people love to give good movies, bad reviews, and think that we're supposed to just listen to whatever the reviews people say and not watch it, not give it, not be have a right to our own opinion. But I watched a lot of movies that got shitty reviews, and yet you know what? There's magic still being made.
Look at it this way. You're always going to see, hopefully, someone's best effort at making things work. And whether they find traction with the audience or not, it's not like people are sleepwalking through these things. Maybe some do.
That's right. No, I mean, and that's just the thing, because I watched the Beetlejuice sequel. Okay, maybe not as good as the first one, but still has a presence. I watched all the Ghostbuster films, even the one with the women. I mean, okay, not as good.
I never saw that one. Is it any good?
The one with the women?
Yeah.
It's okay. I think if you're a Ghostbusters fan, you at least should watch it once, just to say that you watched it, because it's like, Your type of humor might be different. Your type of, because you've been in the business making films. Maybe your perspective on what modern day or 2016 technology was like. The problem was they tried to erase the original Ghostbusters franchise with that movie. That's the problem.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I've seen minutes in. So what else do you need before we take off?
Yeah, that's right. No, I'm just honored to have had some time with you because, like I say, there's this. Oh, you got a phone call there.
No, it's not.
No, I mean
it's what to do this. Okay.
Oh, you forgot to put it on mute there. That's all right. That's why we're live. You just never know what's going to happen. It's great.
Well, it's hardly John Mulaney, but
yeah. Well, a friend of mine who one of my cohorts on the Renegade Radio, his name's Antique Man, had a question that he wanted me to ask you, since you're into toys and everything and collecting. So I'm going to ask you this question here. He said in 1937, his mom was 15, and Mo Howard of the Three Stooges introduced himself to her. She had a Walt Disney hand puppet of the dwarf Dopey. He autographed the head and also drew his character on the doll head. He would usually do this occasionally when autographing, but not always. What might this be worth to an interested collector? And he has photos of it.
I don't know. I do have some Three Stooges stuff, but nothing. I do not have autographs. For a while, there was a big market in buying Mo Howard's canceled checks. Now, I actually own a Zeppo Marx canceled check for his answering service. But I think, something that he, and the good thing about Dopey was there's a big forehead you could sign.
yeah, and that's kind of what he was talking about.
I would say probably $800-900 would be my guess. But I do not know much about autographs or the Three Stooges autographs. I paid $75 for Zeppo Marx.
Well, do you ever go attend conventions, here and there, meet your fans and all?
No, not unless I'm there to do Comic Con a couple times with projects of mine, and what else have we done? No, just ones when we had something to promote and we were asked to promote it there.
Okay. Well, I figured there'd be a lot of people that would want to meet you and thank you for being a part of their childhood, because again, it's just like look at Beethoven, and I talk about that movie a lot because that was one of the first movies I remember watching as for a family film anyway. Growing up, my brother and I, we watched it religiously because it was on TV all the time. And Was the Saint Bernard the first dog that you were thinking of using for?
Oh no,
for
I was not the
video?
original. John Hughes wrote the movie, and he wrote it. I don't. He was going to direct it with John Candy and a Saint Bernard.
Oh,
John Hughes got in a big fight with Universal, and they divorced. Universal kept the project.
okay.
Gave it to Ivan Reitman, the director of Ghostbusters, producer of Ghostbusters, to produce. And they hired somebody, I can't remember his name, but as it turned out, after a week, they noticed that he never made a shot of the dog. And they said, is there a problem here? And he rolls up his sleeve. He had been mauled by a dog 2 years earlier, and he couldn't psychologically do it. I was in post-production on my first film for Universal, first film period, Problem Child 2. And so they needed to replace a director, and they needed to spend as little as possible. And so I was the logical choice, and I walked in to a film that I'd read once on Wednesday, met with Charles Grodin on Thursday, drove around, looked at their locations on Friday, and started shooting on Monday. And it became a film that they had all written off as dead in the water. Became a great hit and franchise for the studio. And, I was very fortunate that everything I'd done to that point was great training for doing that. And, the fact that, now I have 600 pounds of dog. We have Newfoundlands, not St. Bernards. My daughter has a St. Bernard. But we always had dogs in quantity, and I understand what they're capable of doing and understanding. And basically, I can get them from one point to another. And then it's up to you how to imbue them with the emotions you feel.
Sure.
And so, it was a really good experience, and a great to work with people the caliber of Ivan Reitman and Gary Marshall, and then to spend years working for Spielberg, and my long association with Robert Simons. It's all been good, pretty happy with where we are today, and glad to have done it, and glad that almost glad that I'm really not a part of the insecurity and weirdness of the industry today.
So just to say that retirement is doing you very well.
Well, I'm hardly retired. I've been teaching at 2 universities, doing courses that I created, and got 2 books out, and the third is coming hopefully soon. And too early to talk about it. I wish I could.
Sure.
And my kids are doing good. My grandson's wonderful. I got a happy 51-year-old relationship with my wife. So yeah, we're happy.
That's good, and I'm very happy to have a chance to do this with you again. Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Jacob, for setting us up, because this is a real honor, a real treat, because it's not too often I get to talk to filmmakers. So I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you, Frankie. Take care.
All right, you too, my friend. Bye bye. All right, and that was legendary filmmaker and director, Mr. Brian Levant, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. He was a few minutes late, but I guess we're just waiting for him to get here. It's nice to talk to a lot of older people, especially when they've been in the industry as long as they have. And you just never know what to expect sometimes, So went in this completely blind, even though I did know a lot about him. It's just interesting to talk to people sometimes. You never know what you're going to get. So later on this afternoon, we're going to try to redo the interview we did. We were supposed to do last week on Renegade Radio with Kenny Neal and Micah Willis. So if you stay tuned here about 2 hours at 3 o'clock Central here, we're going to finally get them on here and do what we were supposed to do last week. They couldn't get in for some reason. I don't know why, because everybody else seems to be able to get in, no problem, willy nilly. So, and I think Mama T is going to be joining me for that as well. So for right now, I'm Frankie Slauson. I want to thank Jacob Marshall and Brian Levant for or Jacob for hooking me up with Brian. And you never know what to expect. There's going to be some more interviews coming along. We might be taking a little spring break from Renegade Radio for a few weeks, but I'm going to stay busy and do what I can to keep you guys entertained on the side. So then we'll be back April 14th, Monday, April 14th for our 1-year anniversary show. Well, a 1-year anniversary debut show at Grand Forks Best Source. That's what we'll be celebrating, because it'll be a year around that time when we made our debut on Best Source. So it'll be fun. I'm Frankie Slauson. We'll see you in a couple hours for another interview later on. Bye-bye.
Just the heavens beat to a call. Yeah. You can see the flames go into you. I call passion. Let's call it the heavens and fire. Give on now, will you? If I was darkness, she was light, and she was day and I was night. And in the thunder of my heart I heard the truth beat. Lost in desire. Can't stop the fire. I want her all the time. All now, and my hunger is bright. Just go to heaven through the windows of your eyes. See the meaning of our lives. Beyond the light, two fates intertwine in a dance they call passion. Lost in desire. Can't stop the fire. If I was darkness, she was light, and she was day and I was night. And in the thunder of my heart I heard the truth beating. I said, can't stop the fire. Lost in